Hey everyone, this is Matt Wakeling and you are listening to the Guitar Speak podcast. Thank you so much for joining me. Now today I'm replaying a classic interview from our archives when I spoke to Jude Gold, guitarist with Jefferson Starship, journalist at Guitar Player magazine, host of the incredible No Guitar is Safe podcast, and many, many more credits which we get into in this cool interview. Jude had his guitar plugged in, played many cool excerpts as he went, including some great Van Halen tips and his own full contact guitar style, which we dig into as well. So, hey, let's jump straight in.
We're probably good to go.
I thought we were going.
Yeah, well, we probably are. Well, I better say welcome then.
Yeah,
Jude Gold, welcome to the Guitar Speak podcast.
As Steve Vai would say, don't say we're going to go. Don't say we can go. Say we are going.
Perfect.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on. I really appreciate you wanting to talk to me. And I just, don't threaten me with a good time. I love to talk guitar, so I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Great, man. That's so good. Man, there's so much I want to try and talk to you about today, but your biography is ridiculous. I'm going to read through a few names, and this is really only a few, but of course you're currently playing with Jefferson Starship, which I think we should talk about in more detail in a little while, but you've played with Greg Howe, you've played with Angelo Moore from one of my favourite bands, Fishbone. You've done jazz fusion gigs at the Bass x3 thing with Jeff Berlin, and who else was on that?
Billy Sheehan and Stuart Ham.
How could I forget those names? Yeah, man. And some really odd stuff too, which I want to find out about. DJ Spooky, who I love. Mainly his writing, Paul Miller's writing I've gotten into, but obviously a great musician as well. Two Live Crew, West African stuff. Man.
Oh, yeah.
So, Jude, have you always been musically curious? Was that from the get-go? You were just into so many different things?
Yeah, I was always musically curious. I remember coming home from Star Wars and just loving. I realized later that one reason I loved the original Star Wars so much was the soundtrack, not just the ray gun sounds and the spaceship sounds, but the incredible score. And I went to the piano and, realized how easy it was to just play some of those melodies, That was before I played guitar. Then I tried the clarinet, and my neighbors, basically, one neighbor upstairs, she was like, no. You got to put that back in the case. You put it back in the case. Jam time is over. And then my mom introduced me to this guitar teacher at my school, or she told me there was a program, and I was playing steel string guitar. I still have this guitar. It's a wonderful Takamine.
Okay.
It's like a Martin OM copy, but back then it was so hard to play because it had heavy gauge steel strings on it.
Yes, yeah.
I swear I almost gave up. I swear I tell a lot of young students, the first part is the hardest. If you can break that wall to where you can play chords and get from one chord to the next and start playing a song in rhythm, that's when things. Before that, you're just like you can't even crawl. You're just like a baby on the floor who can't move. It's like. But once you start being able to run, then it starts to be fun. So I discovered guitar, but I was still playing acoustic.
Yeah.
Then I used to have this friend. He used to tell me the number one song every week. One day I was like, "What's the number one song?" Because he was a little older, and he's like, "Oh, it's Boogie Nights." Boogie Nights.
Yeah.
And I was like, "That's cool." So I bought that. That was my first record. I bought Boogie Nights, my allowance.
Awesome.
By Heatwave, and the producer guy. I blank on names when I'm being interviewed, but he just passed away this year. He wrote a lot of stuff for Michael Jackson, the big guy in Heatwave, and I'm so embarrassed, and I'll remember it later and tell you. But
okay,
what a year, huh? And then my friend said, "This week it's Le Freak by Nile Rodgers."
Nile Rodgers, chic, yes.
Heard that sound,
very
and
cool.
I had to get a guitar. I had to get electric. I had to get a Strat, although it would be years before I got a Strat.
Mm-hmm. So what was the electric?
I got a Harmony Stratotone. I always thought that the Fender Strat was a Fender Stratotone as well. It's like, I got a Harmony one. I just need to get a Fender Stratotone. Later I found out it was Stratocaster.
Yep.
The Stratotone was a plywood semi-hollow body that suffered a horrible death in the backyard when me and my younger brother did a photo shoot where we destroyed the guitar. And Yeah, now I kind of wish I had it. It would be kind of good for slide. That's what they say about, like when they say about bad wine, they say it'd be good for vinegar, good for salad.
Yeah, for
It'd be
cooking.
good
Yeah.
on a salad. That guitar would have been good for a slide, but I don't have it anymore.
Perfect slide guitar. Wow. But at least that got you going on electric, I guess. You obviously needed that tone to pull off the Nile Rodgers stuff.
Yeah, ironically, when I got my first Strat, I could not wait. That was like a year into my love of Van Halen.
Yep.
I was 13 when I got my first Stratocaster, and I couldn't wait to get a guitar with a bar. I'd listen to certain Van Halen songs like Hear About It Later at the very end after the solo.
Yep.
Well, Stephen, what's he playing? It's like... I was like, I can't wait to get home and use that bar. And then I opened the case. I got it used from this guy.
Mm-hmm.
It was like a 74 Strat. It was, 10 years old already.
Yeah.
And I got it home, and I'm looking for the little hole in the tremolo thing, and there's no hole.
No.
And it's one of those rare hardtail Stratocasters that doesn't have a tremolo system.
Oh, no.
And I kind of resent that guy didn't make it clear to me. I thought that was a little low. However, in retrospect, that's the same exact guitar that Nile Rodgers calls the hit maker. The guitar of his that has no tremolo, that's a Fender Strat, he wrote all his hit songs on.
Uh-huh.
So I'm like, hey, I was meant to have a hit maker like Nile Rodgers, even though it has not given me any hits yet. But it seems, fitting that I would end up with that guitar.
Yeah, wow. Very sad for a Van Halen freak to not get the bar. And of course, as you said, it's very rare. Those hardtails were rare. It's hard to find them now.
Yeah. Cool guitar though.
So,
someone just posted recently of me wearing acid wash jeans in the late '80s.
Oh, nice.
Playing that guitar.
Awesome. Hey, you ended up in a Van Halen tribute band that I think you still play with sometimes.
I did. I did a bunch of tribute bands. My first one was 1997.
Uh-huh.
Before tribute bands, in my opinion, seemed to be all the rage. I had this great jazz drummer friend who would never be caught dead playing hard rock, but he had this brilliant idea. He's like, we're sitting at the cafe. His name is Brian Bowman. He's all, man, I want to start a band that mixes the music of AC/DC and Star Wars. I'm like, well, those are two of my favorite things on earth.
Yes.
Early AC/DC, early Star Wars. He's like, and we're going to call it R2DC. I was like, R2DC, that's the most brilliant name. I was like, I'm too busy to do it. But then I was like, oh my gosh, I have to do this. And so we did it. And it was more of a performance art piece than anything else. It was like the set of music was like no more than half an hour long, but it was really great. And I was kind of the MD, and we had like a horn section, and we had C3PO. Picture C3PO playing trombone. Isn't that awesome? all that brass, all
Perfect.
That bronze color. So and I fused I did mashups. So I would write out these horn charts. Like if we're playing Back in Black. Over the top of that, we had the horn section going.
Beautiful.
It was awesome the way that I would mix together. The other one that I was proud of too was Hell's Bells. You had like, how does Hell's Bells go? And over the top of that, we had. And then the other one that I was really proud of is, the cantina scene. We put that over. What's the name of that song? Beating Around the Bush. And it was great. And to my great thrill, I got to tell Angus and Malcolm about that when I interviewed them on a conference call.
Oh, so good.
And they had heard of a million AC/DC tribute bands. This would have been about 2004 when I interviewed them. And they just were so tickled by that. They loved it, man. At the end of the interview, they're like, man, what was the name of that band again? What? So that was great. But I did a lot of tribute bands. You know, I ended up in an all-male Madonna tribute band. All-male tribute to the Material Girl called Mandonna.
Nice.
Howard Stern took me to them.
Very good.
And then I did a Prince tribute band with 4 women fronting it, singing. And it was called Princess.
Ah, yeah, you've mentioned that. That's great.
Super booty, and then a lot of stuff. And then I did an Ozzy Osbourne thing with Izzy Osbourne. And then, sorry, there's a helicopter going over. And then I did Van Halen with Randy Monroe's tribute band, Hot for Teacher.
Great.
And it was really cool. And then we played all over the country for like 4 years and stuff. And it was just so much fun learning that stuff. I really got into a lot of that. It took a lot of preparation to get those solos and stuff into like any kind of a presentable form, you know. Some of them are just so weird and so cool. Every one of them is so amazing.
Wow, that is really cool. And yeah, I mean, I've seen a few videos. I've seen you do Eruption, and you totally own that. So yeah.
Yeah. The thing about Eruption is you got to know the secret move, which most of YouTube videos don't understand.
Mm-hmm. What's that?
Which is, and he does it again here. It's open high E string.
Yeah.
And then with your 4th finger, hammer on the 2nd string at the 8th fret.
Ah, okay.
Pull off to the 5th fret. Pull off to the open B string. Then pick the 8th fret of the G string. And then start over again by picking the high E string. It takes 3 strings. And then once you learn that, you realize he does a similar move right here. Where is it? Right there. The other thing is you really need, it's like you got to have like the right guitar. You got to be in E flat with kind of fat frets and 9, playing 9s with a really good bridge humbucker. Otherwise, you just feel like you're just riding a car with 4 flat tires. You know, you got to have the right guitar. I'm playing a Strat right now. Then you realize that he does the same exact move in one of my favorite Van Halen songs, which is "I'm the One."
Yep.
You know that one?
Yeah, first album.
And the solo, the second solo, is one of the greatest fast rock guitar solos, in my opinion, of all time. Like super fast, and he goes. It's the same exact move as what I first showed you. It's up a whole step.
Okay, cool.
So you're still
but
using
still with the open
E
string? Yeah.
High E string and it pulls off. That's the pick the high E, then hammer on the B string starting at 10th fret, right, and then pick at the 10th fret of the G. So I had so much fun decoding all that, and I did it all by ear. Although I did use that great program Transcribe to slow it down to half speed.
Okay, yeah, wow.
YouTube is a mixed blessing because there's a lot of good stuff on there, but there's a lot of like it's a game of chutes and ladders. You might end up on a chute that takes you down the wrong thing.
Sure. Yeah. That's nice with that 3-string thing because it does sound like a 2-string lick, but with the open string, that obviously opens the whole thing up.
Well, I always have the philosophy that very few guitar players play things that are physically hard. If you were going to try to play that line without those pull-offs the way I just showed you, it would be so hard. Your wrist would probably catch on fire. Most guitar players like to play things that are comfortable. In other words, once you learn them, it's easy to play. Now, some things are very difficult, obviously, certain classical guitar pieces. And a lot of rock guitar, man, people are just having fun, you know?
Yeah.
When you watch a downhill skier, it's amazing, but it's not like they're straining so much. They're kind of cruising.
Yeah, sure. Cool. So that's lots of tribute bands. So obviously you're getting in the heads of lots of amazing guitar players there. Not just Eddie, but guys like Randy Rhoads and Malcolm and Angus. That's super cool. When When did you start doing originals gigs, or working sideman kind of gigs for established artists?
That's a good question. Well, you mentioned Angelo Moore. That was when I was in college. I went to UC Berkeley, and we used to do original gigs all the time. And we had a house band. My buddies Chris Powell and Moose Lethridge, and other people, and Steve Bradley. He plays No Doubt. Those other guys. We're all East Bay from the Berkeley, Oakland area, and when Angelo Moore would come through and sit in with us, and then he actually booked us for a couple of gigs, and it was really cool. And I love Fishbone. Some of that stuff really imprinted on me. I still love music that sounds like it comes from a certain region, and Fishbone just had that SoCal sound to me. Nowadays everything is really homogenized with the web.
Sure.
But I still like the era of when you had that, like, that band sounds like that area. And Fishbone, I was always into slap bass lines, and they had one of the best slap bass lines, Bone in the Boneyard. It was called, what's it called? Bonin' in the Boneyard. How's it go? So I was in with that song. I was sold. I love that whole sound. And there's very few bands that there were tons of bands that were doing that were so huge in the Bay Area. Like Fungo Mungo got signed to Island Records, Psycho Funkopus, all these great bands. Then Nirvana hit, and then none of them really broke through because all the labels started putting all their money and promotion into the Seattle sound. But Primus kind of made it. Primus did a lot of cool slap bass stuff. And there was always the Chili Peppers, but I think Living Colour had that sound. But anyway, Angelo Moore, he would take us up there, and we would just do a spontaneous set, and he'd kind of conduct us.
Wow, cool.
It was like kind of an old school kind of thing. He'd like conduct us like a conductor. He'd come over to the two guitars, or he'd come over to the horns, or he'd sing a line, have them sing it. It reminded me of one time I was lucky enough. I was on the road with JGB, and we did a double bill with George Clinton and the P-Funk All-Stars. Man, what a riot. And my friend Jeff Fogarty was the tour manager, and he's like, "You want to come up for a song?" And like halfway through the set, he just got me a guitar and handed it to me. And next thing I knew, I was up there, and we were playing "Bow Wow Wow Whippy Yo Whippy Yay" with that George. Which one of the best lyrics of all times, I think. Is, "Why must I be like that? Why must I chase the cat? Nothing but the dog in me." I love that song. So we're up there, and we're playing, and he's doing that same thing, Angelo Moore, just conducting, man. He's like looking at us with this look in his eyes that's so intense. You're just like responding to every twitch that he has. Like, come up, come down, like controlling the dynamics. I mean, truth be told, it was chaos up there, but it really felt like we were the London Symphony of Funk, really. It was pretty cool.
So good. So good. Yeah. Yeah, interesting that area. You mentioned Primus. They were from... they were an East Coast band as well, weren't they?
No, Primus is Bay Area.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I'm back to front.
They were very quirky. He used to do all this. I watched him. He'd be tapping and slapping. And he's doing that on bass. I loved his grooves. But he had that other one. I was like. I mean, I'm just guessing as to what it is, but pockets. And I'm telling you, Matt, it was the best music. You could thrash to it. There were complete mosh pits, and you could dance to it. It had a groove. It was like, it makes me cry that it didn't take over the world, and I blame the Seattle sound.
The early '90s, yes. And he was singing over those crazy tapping parts as well, or those kind of quirky comic book almost vocals.
Oh yeah, it's so true. I used to go see them every Monday night or every Sunday night at the Berkeley Square before they became huge. And if you listen to a couple of records when they play YYZ, you can hear me and my buddy making jungle noises. I'm making generic noises, so you probably can't really hear me, but you can hear my buddy. He's going, "Hoo, hoo, hoo, ah, ah." I swear to God, you can hear it. It's on 2 Primus records, including Frizzle Fry, which is their breakout record.
Yep. Awesome, man. That's so good. When I'm talking about Coast, actually, I'm getting mixed up. Living Colour, obviously, they were the...
Yeah.
They were East Coasters, and another can of worms altogether.
Exactly. And I recommend people check out some of the inside tracks that weren't the big hits, even though I love like Cult of Personality. But like, there's one called "What's Your Favorite Color, Baby?" It's just like it starts
the funk thing,
huge guitar, then it goes into the funk groove, and it's just like you can thrash to it and you can dance to it. It's I miss it so much. I'm getting all emotional like thinking about being at those shows.
Oh man, so good. I was in a band at the time. We did their Talking Heads cover, Memories Can't Change or Memories Won't Fade. Can't remember the name, but I think that was on the same record. I think that was on the first record too.
Oh, you reminded me of another one I did around that time. My first studio session for a real artist, and I wish I could say I've done more, but I was still in college at UC Berkeley, and my bass player buddy, brilliant musician, Dave Ewell, he's like, "Hey man, I'm co-producing this 2 Live Crew. I'm co-producing this 2 Live Crew record, and we need a guitar solo." So I go in there, like I think I cut class to go over to the studio. One Little Indian Studio is this cool guy. He's done all these records. Like I forgot what he did, like Eazy-E or Too Short. Did a bunch of rap records. I'm walking down the stairs. He's like, "I hear a rocker coming down the stairs. I hear a rocker coming down." But it's just me. I'm not really rocker, but I definitely, I brought a Strat with a humbucker and a little Marshall combo. And the song, it was blank. It was just the groove. And they were like, just kind of solo over it. And I'm like, okay, well, I'll take a solo. I'll just solo and put fills and do a big guitar solo in the middle section. Kind of shameless, like shredding, although I never consider myself a shredder, but, doing my best to really play a lot of notes with a lot of distortion and dive bombs and harmonics. And to my surprise, they left every single note in that song.
Oh, that's the best.
That was my first real one, yeah.
Okay, cool. Tell me about working with DJ Spooky, also known as Paul Miller.
Yeah, that was incredible. That was because I know an incredible human being named Tony Doritas. He was his composer name is Anthony P. Doritas. And he was my graduate student instructor, one of my instructors at college. And he is a mover and shaker and a really sharp composer, amazingly talented and a great violinist. And he's the head of the Northeastern Music Department in Music and Technology at Northeastern University. I love, man, Tony D. He's got so much personality. Like get it off of them right away because this class was so stiff. And then one day the teacher was absent and they said, Tony's going to lead the class. And he's from Long Island and stuff. And he's like, okay, so you see right here, you got your German 6 chord here, bada boom, bada bing. Then you do this, boom. And then we're talking about technology stuff. You want to run this into this, and then boom, there you go. I was like, we became buddies. And he later had one of his many long string of amazing projects. He came up with the idea of a symphony piece for orchestra and DJ. Now, other people may have come up with it, but Tony's the kind of guy that can make it happen. And he made it happen with the Oakland Symphony, which is a really, really great and possibly underrated symphony. They sound amazing.
Wow.
Very popular in the Bay Area. And he put it together with DJ Spooky as the DJ, and he incorporated some of my themes that we had done. Just a couple of themes in there that I had written for earlier. We had some stuff lying around, some scraps. He freaking scored it for an entire orchestra.
Wow. That
had
is
me come
amazing.
in. And you know what? I had a real learning experience because I don't know if you've ever played with a true classical conductor, but if you come from a guitar background, of a rock background,
Mm-hmm.
I'm from like the Dave Letterman school where he throws his hand down, and when the hand goes to its lowest point, there's a drum crack. It's just bam.
Uh-huh.
You know what I'm talking about? That's not how it works with an orchestra. When the conductor does the hit, they come in like 3/4 of a beat later.
Okay. Wow.
It's the devilish thing. And so I'm sitting there, and we're doing the rehearsal, and we're doing this part, and I got to hit these big hits, and I'm early every time. I'm ahead of the other 100 musicians, and I can't get it. And then he's like, "Hold on, everybody." It's like, "Let me hear just the guitar at letter, at like letter A, bar 92."
No.
They're all watching me, but you're not going to believe this, Matt. The part that he called out was this part in like 11/4 or something, 11/8. But I had written it. It was one of the 3 little things that I had written.
Nice.
So I'm looking at it, and I pretend to be sight reading, and I'm playing. It goes like this. It was awesome, and everyone's like looking, and they're like, "Oh, he played that really well." And then they all like wrap their bows on the stands, which is their way of saying kind of like, "Thank you for showing how it goes. Well done," or something.
That's great.
Oh man, I got really lucky that moment. So yeah. Anyway, we played with DJ Spooky, and it sounded amazing, and got good reviews, and it was very wild and innovative and groundbreaking. And
Wow.
Tony D is the man. Tony Doritas.
So good, man. We're kind of jumping around a bit, I know, but I'm just digging at all these stories about all these amazing people you've played with. So just backing up though, when did you finish college? When did you finish at Berkeley?
I finished 95, and that's UC Berkeley in California for anyone who doesn't know, not Boston.
Yep.
I grew up the same town I grew up in. I was like, you know what? I don't really want to move away. I'm kind of playing in the clubs and a little bit, and just have my musical friends and a day job. Had to support myself. I'm like, I'm pretty set here.
Sure.
I don't really want to. I managed to scrape my way into Berkeley as a junior after going to junior college, and I really enjoyed UC Berkeley, and I still like to visit. If you're ever in the Bay Area, it's a great place to walk around. Wonderful campus, UC Berkeley.
Cool. And so what happened musically after that? So in terms of full-time gigs or touring, that kind of thing?
Well, I can't recommend people enough that you just go for your dream. I was kind of being like really safe and holding on to my day job at a furniture store.
Yeah.
Which was really great. And my friend Bernie and Jesse, they gave me that job, which I will forever be thankful because it put me through college. But I was like, it's so risky to give it up. But the second I let go of that and graduate, I started getting some work. Like I just, I started playing. I started teaching at Blue Bear School of Music, and then I did a little producing. I was helping produce this album for this woman named Susan Solomon, and I was a little nervous because she was like, I want to use this guy's studio named Garth Weber. He's amazing. He's this fantastic guitar player. He's buddies with Robin Ford, and he toured with Miles Davis and all this stuff. And I'm like, oh man, well, what am I going to do? So, but we showed up, and Garth, man, it was so great. I learned so much from him. Here's this super pro guitarist with a studio, and he was like my mentor for a few months while we did that. And he taught me a lot, like about like doing fills in between the vocals and just playing less and not playing too much and coming up with a part that complements and all this. And then he got a call to join JGB, which was Jerry Garcia Band Veterans.
Cool.
This was 97. They had, they were still going, like 4 of them after Jerry Garcia had passed away.
Yeah.
And it was a really fun band, and he didn't want to go out on the road, and he recommended me. I went down there for an audition. I was 26 or something, carried in my matchless 2x12. That's when I had a strong back, Carried that thing like from the car all the way into this warehouse. That thing weighs a lot. Matchless 2x12 Chieftain, man.
I've heard you mention that before, yeah.
And I just had a lot of fun. I remember that band leader Melvin Seals later, months or a year or two later, asked, "Why did you hire me?" Because there's some really great guitar players in the room.
Yeah.
Like the guy before me was so good. I was like, I don't even know his name. I wish I could remember his name. I don't know it. I was like, there's no way they're gonna hire me. This guy's amazing. he was so tasty and beautiful. And then I asked Melvin Seals, the organ player who played with Jerry Garcia for all those years in the Jerry Garcia band. It's like, well, you did this little hop. You're doing a solo, and you just got really into it, and you kind of hopped a little bit. I was like, I kind of remember that. I was like, oh yeah, maybe I kind of was going for it. I was just really going for it. So that was really cool. I got this gig, and we ended up touring around. We had a tour bus and stuff, and we went all around the country in Canada and did a live album on a kind of semi-major label for House of Blues Records. And it was such a great band because they embraced the guitar solo so much. So you get to take some solos.
That is cool. I love how you just went for it at the audition. You weren't scared. You just went nuts, and that's why they got you.
Yeah, I mean, I was probably scared, but once you get up there, maybe sometimes the fear goes away a little bit while you're there. Yeah. Thinking about it's always worse, right?
Yeah, sure.
Like the dentist.
Sure. Yeah,
Thinking about it's worse. No.
That's a good lesson. That's a good lesson. Hey, so not long after that, I think in the early 2000s, you ended up as an editor for Guitar Player magazine. Had you studied any journalism, or how did that gig happen?
Well, I always enjoyed writing and finishing that feeling. Unlike playing guitar, which is fun the whole time, sometimes writing, you get that same sense of satisfaction when you finish a piece as when you finish a recorded song.
Sure. Yep.
But doing it when in the middle of writing is not as fun, I don't think. That's what got me through college was writing, not my math skills or anything like that,
Yeah.
I always liked it. And with the JGB band, I had met this one journalist out there, and I said, hey, can I write a Adventures on the Road piece? And I put all this time into it, and she was like, cool. And she said, submit it. And then I finally submitted, and she completely flaked, and she just never returned my emails or anything. So I said, you know what? This is the Jerry Garcia band veteran. I'm going to submit this straight to Relics magazine, which is kind of the jam band Rolling Stone, if you will, although, it's a smaller level magazine than Rolling Stone. But it's the magazine for the Deadheads and the jam bands, and they took my article.
Wow.
Got into it. I started writing these dispatches from the road, and they're definitely kind of amateurish in certain ways, but they were fun little pieces. Started freelancing for Guitar Player magazine in 2001. Michael Melenda finally hired me as a full-timer.
Wow, so cool.
And I did that for like 9 years in the office, or 8 years, and then Musicians Institute in Los Angeles, Beth Marlis, and they were looking for someone to kind of help run the department, to be the chair of the department, as she got promoted to becoming vice principal, vice president of Musicians Institute, Beth. So I came down there, and I just recognized that, it's a big deal for someone from the Bay Area to move to LA, but I was like, this is just an adventure. I have to do it. I'll kick myself if I don't. So I've been down here since 2009.
Yep.
But, so I still retain an editorial kind of position, if you will.
Yep.
But it's more like a contract basis. I do 1 or 2 stories a month. Mm-hmm. And help out here and there, attend events, or sometimes cover stuff for manufacturers, whatever, or do cover stories. Just did the recent Green Day cover story here and there, mostly features. And of course, I do my podcast, No Guitar is Safe, which is I created it, but it's kind of, we have a partnership going with Guitar Player magazine, because it's really the first Guitar Player magazine podcast.
Yeah, which is great. I definitely want to talk about that too. I love that show. By the way, I was so excited when you put that together.
Thanks.
So when you're, now in that fast answer, there's so much to dissect, man. So when you're working for GP, what were some of the more memorable interviews? Like you've taught some amazing players like Zakk Wylde, Guthrie Govan, Brad Paisley, like a huge list. Green Day, as you just said. Are there any interviews that stick out for memorable reasons, good or bad?
Yeah. Definitely, for me, the first one that always pops out is that AC/DC one. Even though it was in person, and it was just over the phone, AC/DC kind of changed my life. When I was 12 years old, I'd never been to a rock concert.
Uh-huh.
My brother wasn't even really into music, but I found out that someone had given him tickets to see AC/DC. I was like, there's no way you're going to see a rock concert before me, let alone AC/DC. So I quickly got some tickets. We waited all day long, and then we got up to the front. We got there at 8 a.m. and then around 7 p.m. we're right in front of the stage, sitting down like peacefully. All of a sudden, everybody stands up and crushes the front, and I'm 12 years old and I can't even breathe. I think this is it. Wow. I'm gonna. Right before that, some people had died at a Who concert, unfortunately, in a horrible tragedy. And all of a sudden, I understood how it could happen. Before, I didn't really understand how who would do that. And then I realized it wasn't anyone's fault. It's just everybody was just leaning forward, and the people, us up in the front. So I got out of there, and then I finally escaped after like half an hour being stuck up there. Every seat in the arena was taken after we had waited all day long. I had no idea where my friend was, but when AC/DC hit the stage, it just changed my life. It was a feeling of like, I think some people might get that from church or something. Like, it was just the power of that guitar, of those guitars coming through. There was so much emotion. I just remember, like, afterwards we were waiting at the bus stop in the rain, and this little thing was just echoing in my mind. Like from, what song is it? From Shoot to Thrill. Like this, all the sounds that were just still echoing in my head. Yeah, and I was like, from that point forward, I mean, I was already a guitar player and everything. I was already 12 years old. Probably started when I was 9 or 8.
Yeah.
I was obsessed with music. So when I finally got to interview Angus and Malcolm, that was a huge one. But so many other ones, you know, the beauty of an interview is you never know what you're going to get. And I've interviewed famous people and less famous guitarists, and some of them are just the most amazing interviews, even if it's someone like, take Steve Kimmock, for instance. He's not as famous as Brad Paisley or Angus and Malcolm or Green Day. But he taught me about the harmonic overtone series and things that have just changed the way I approach the guitar. You know, just like certain interviews just blow your mind. But I really like that one. I'm drawing a blank now, of course, on some of the other ones. I always enjoy interviewing Mike Scott from Prince because he's just such a funky cat. I've had him on my podcast.
Yeah, so you've had him in Prince and on your show, which is cool. Well, let's talk about No Guitar Is Safe. What was the impetus to get that started?
You know, I always discovered how cool podcasts were when I would be driving back and forth from the Bay Area to LA. And sometimes, that's a 5-hour drive, you know.
Okay, wow.
And I was like, there needs to be a guitar podcast. And of course, there probably were several. But I always thought, the coolest thing. Well, if there's one moment, it was when I was interviewing Steve Lukather for, probably the second or third time.
Uh-huh.
And I have to say, the biggest perk about being a guitar journalist is getting to meet some of these guys, and then over the years you actually become friends with them. I actually consider myself to be a friend of Lukather's, and he's one of my all-time heroes because of all the guitar players out there. I can't think of one who's played with more superstars. He's played more different styles of music. You go ahead and
absolutely.
Try to ask him someone, like, heard him on some podcast and was like, okay, Neil Diamond. He's like, oh yeah, I play with Neil. Yeah, whoever. I'm interviewing Steve Lukather. I'm at his house, and no less than 5 minutes into it, he's like, "Oh man, check this out!" He runs to the other room and just grabs his guitar and plays me a little lick. I'm like, "That's not going to be on the printed page." That's not an interview. I really wanted to put people in my chair. It's like I'm sitting in the most amazing chair. This is one of the great guitar players of all time, and he's looking me straight in the eye, and he's playing guitar for me, and my goal was to put people in that chair, and almost as if I were jamming, playing blues, playing their songs. I love playing with these artists, and to be able to do that. Now, Steve Lukather has definitely agreed to be on the show, but he's a very busy man. So if anyone's looking for the Steve Lukather episode, it hasn't been recorded yet. I assume one of these days we're going to hook up.
Great.
We don't live too far from each other.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, that's really what started it. And just that's the beauty of the guitar. I listen to all these other podcasts. Mark Maron, of course. I love it when he interviews comedians. And they give you a little taste of stuff that they do, but you can't really do your craft on a podcast with one other dude right there. Or if you're an actor, you can't really act on a podcast. But guitar is one of those things. You can do it anytime. you could be a professional guitarist and you can be like, this is what I did, you know?
Yeah,
there
so
it is.
good.
I mean, it's just like right there. You can just show it right in the moment. The person can show what they do.
Yeah.
There's very few things like that. Very few things where you can interview the person and they can do it. And you can jam with them.
The jamming is heaps good. I love the jamming.
So you can play with them and put that in there and make it music. Because I do get tired of everybody talking about stuff.
Sure.
It's always good to have people actually doing the stuff that they're talking about. That doesn't necessarily work if you're talking to an athlete. You can't put him up there. But with a guitar player, you can play music with that person right there.
That's cool.
And I started No Guitar Safe.
So good. And so guitar player supports that in some way as well.
Yeah, they help out and help me promote it sometimes. If I send them something, they'll often help me put it out there. And, they help me find sponsors for different episodes.
Great.
Which is really cool. But it's a kind of it's a partnership, you know. And I love Guitar Player. I've been reading it since I was, 13 years old.
Awesome, man. So good. I totally agree with the depth you can get into as well. I remember the first Guitar Player interview, first cover story. It was Vernon Reid in 88 or something, or 89, and the first record had just come out. And there was this really long story. I think Joe Gore did that interview, and it was so in-depth. And, I think we all understand print media has shrunk a little in recent years. And, the interviews, even though, it's wonderful to hear from your favourite player, in, say, an hour or so conversation that you do with these guys, you can just dig so deep and you can spend time on some of the little points, which is fun. I love the Steve Stevens interview. You're talking about, was it Dancing with Myself, and you were playing the parts, like you're saying, you can explain the parts, and I just thought it was the same hook, but in what did he say, in the verses, he adds an extra open string or something. I
think he does it at the fifth string, between the fifth string and the open high E. And then I think he was saying, if I recall correctly, that for the verses or something, he does it at the seventh position
on the third string,
third string. So then you get the B string ringing too, right? I played that song with a million cover bands beforehand and never figured that out.
That's
sometimes
great.
It's cool to get these little things.
Yeah, just those little things. I find that a lot of fun. So that is very cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. And you're the unsung hero on that, because you're jamming with all these guys on all their stuff. You obviously do your homework, but the off the cuff stuff sounds great.
Oh, thank you very much. And it's like some of it I just know from playing in cover bands. I can't recommend enough. If you just want to become a versatile player, it's good to get into like a truly professional corporate band, I call them, or a casual band, where play like one or two sets of dinner jazz, and then maybe you play some swing jazz and some Sinatra for the second set. Some Ella Fitzgerald, some Ed Last, and all that good stuff. Yeah. And then you get into the Motown. You to learn this whole scope of music, and then you do some 70s funk and disco, and some 80s pop and stuff, and then some 90s stuff, and up to all the way to the present. That's a really good thing. So you already have like a foundation of a lot of the different music that people generally love,
Yeah, absolutely.
And, so like meeting Steve Stevens, like I know some of those songs already just from playing them.
Yeah, nice.
Or Prince with Mike Scott, like I just love all those Prince songs. I know like 15 of them. So I think that really helps a lot. Helps you transcribe and learn how songs work, or different chord progressions, or you recognize different harmonies. Because once you learn it once, you'll see that a million other songs use the same thing.
Yeah, definitely. Such a good.
That always helps. But sometimes I do my homework and learn stuff if they have some cool instrumentals or something.
Mm-hmm. Nice. Have you got? Are you able to tell us what's coming up with that show?
Well, I never like to mention until the interview's in the can.
Yeah, fair enough.
But I will talk about. I got 2 interviews in the can. And I have several more scheduled. And the recent one is Lawrence Juber, who's a 2-time Grammy-winning guitarist with Paul McCartney and the Wings from back in the day.
That's out already. That's a great interview. I love that.
That one's out. That one's getting really good reviews, so I'm happy about that. It's,
Cool.
He's had a crazy life. He got to play so many different things, including...
Yes.
So that was a lot of fun talking to him.
Yeah, cool.
There's so many great players out there.
Yeah.
And,
very nice. Okay, well, back to your playing. You started touring with Jefferson Starship back in 2012. Did you already know a bunch of their tunes, given your cover band background and that kind of thing?
I knew some of them.
Yeah.
Like, I went and saw them when I was 13 and saw Find Your Way Back tour. I love that stuff. Craig Chiquiso, that album Modern Times is one of the underrated guitar albums. If you like big rock and roll, check out the guitar playing on Modern Times. Craig Chiquiso is just crushing. That song, has a... it's a really emotional album. I love that. To me, when guitar playing transcends into the level of emotion, I remember that record, and that's one of those records that I remember from that. So many great B cuts on there.
Yeah,
just
cool.
Great B tracks. So I knew some of that stuff, and I knew like certain licks. Like I remember, anytime I'd hear a cool lick, I had to learn it. Like on "Ride the Tiger." Has a great guitar part. So I learned that one, and I loved all that stuff. But there's all kinds of other ones, great deep tracks with Paul Kantner that we would do that I had not known before. There's so many beautiful songs. I don't know where to begin to list them all. Like little songs like Lather or Hyperdrive or Wooden Ships, just stunningly gorgeous songs that we would play every night. I always loved that about Paul. He was never ever just going for the commercial tunes. He would play whatever he felt like.
That is so cool. And you guys have been touring really steadily. Even sadly after Paul's passing earlier this year, you're still carrying the torch for his work. Absolutely. And it's still that was I think it was January 28th when Paul passed away, and it seems like yesterday. It's just still so heartbreaking, but yeah, the music just keeps going on, and we're so proud to keep it just pumping forward, and his energy is unforgettable. He's one of the most rock and roll dudes I've ever met. Like, he was going to rock and roll forever. Grace Slick had this, she infamously told the New York Times, they asked, how come you don't sing anymore? She's like, nothing's more pathetic than a bunch of old guys playing rock and roll. And I've come to meet Grace a few times, and I just love her. She just says the most awesome, sarcastic stuff. She's one of the funniest human beings on planet Earth. Yeah.
But Paul's response to that was always, well, nothing keeps you young like playing rock and roll. So
yeah,
two different sides of the coin.
Sure.
We just had so much fun, and we have David Freiberg in the band. He's just the most amazing dude I've ever met in rock and roll, because I would say he's the first truly humble rock star I've ever met. Like, he's truly selfless. He's truly 100% giving and generous. And he's having the peak of his life. He's 78 years old now, 77, 78. Wow. And he wrote the song Jane,
Yeah.
And we do it down in drop D, because the original singer, Mickey Thomas, phenomenal voice, but just insanely high range. So we do it a whole step down in drop D.
Okay.
I'm on the Strat right now, so you can't really hear it, but... Just picture that first chord with the low D.
Yeah. Wow.
And David's singing, and David wrote that song. And then, every night, seeing him get standing ovations and stuff, it's like the guy is peaking at 78 years old.
That's fantastic.
He was in Quicksilver Messenger Service in the 60s, and really influential.
Oh, wow.
Psychedelic rock band. And here he is, like, having the time of his life. in 2016 and 17, and just, it's incredible to see somebody peaking at 78 on a rock and roll stage.
Yeah, it's very cool.
And his singing, and people always come up to him like, God, your voice is so good. So I just love playing with David Freiberg, and we got Donnie Baldwin in the band too, who's just been on so many albums with Jefferson Starship from the 80s onward, and he's played with so many great artists like 38 Special and Van Morrison, and he's just too many artists to name, but he's a great musician too, so I love it. And Kathy Richardson fronts the band.
Yeah, she's great.
Grammy-nominated lead singer who performed on the Grammy Awards this year with the original Jefferson Airplane guitarist Jorma Kalkinen and bassist Jack Cassidy. She played with them, sang. That was a really cool moment. We got Chris Smith on the keyboards. I think that's everybody. And yeah, we got a special coming out. That's what's new.
Yeah, I saw you'd filmed that recently.
Thank you for checking that out. Yeah, we put up a little clip here and there, but yeah, we filmed it. It's going to be broadcast on DirecTV, a 1 hour like in-studio concert performance starting on December 23rd. Apparently, millions and tens of millions of Americans have DirecTV, but I don't really know too many people.
Okay.
I think California is more of a cable place.
Gotcha.
But if you've got the DirecTV satellite dish, if you're one of the 100 million people who do, you can watch it.
Nice.
Keeps us busy, these little things keep us off the streets.
Yeah, well, that's important. But you guys got shows booked into 2018 or something. That's crazy.
Oh yeah. Well, I just put everything up there on my page.
Nice. Now, talking about keeping off the streets, you seem to have kept yourself busy playing what you call full contact style guitar. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, for me, it's just a thing. It's like I've been doing it for so long that it's evolved into, I even have put a book out, which you might know about, which is called Solo Slap Guitar and Hal Leonard, and it has videos for every single example. But
yeah, congratulations. That's a new book that Hal Leonard have put out.
Very much. Thanks. Yeah, it's really fun to have that out there. But to me, it all comes from the funk. It comes from the funk, I used to play a lot of bass.
Yep.
I'd see the Chili Peppers and stuff, and I just love that sound, So that'd be kind of like a bass line, but with the guitar, the strings are so close together, and you can mix in harmonics and stuff. I started really mixing in stuff. I had a great teacher named Tuck Andress, and he would do that kind of Michael Hedges kind of thing where he'd take his fingers from his plucking hand, because he never picked, and he would slap them 12 frets higher.
Yes, yeah. So that's...
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean...
So if you take a G minor chord at the 3rd fret, the top 3 strings, slap it with your thumb pointing down towards the floor, you get that chimey sound.
Right.
And you start mixing in the slap parts with the harmonics. Or you take the Eddie Van Halen stuff where he moves the harmonic around, right?
Awesome.
Or, I don't know, I just mix it all up together. A lot of people like this example called Swivel, the song that I created this guitar part. Well, my friend wrote the guitar part on acoustic guitar, and then I slapified it.
Wow.
Trevor Thompson has a song called Swivel, and I play the part like this. And, it's just so much fun to play chord progressions out.
That's so good.
Oh, thank you. So I just do a lot of that stuff, and
awesome.
I have a couple of songs. I'm trying to finish my first solo record, but I do have 2 or 3 songs on iTunes or on YouTube that you can check out. Like one of them is called Salamander, and I teach that song in the book.
Okay, cool. That song rules. I love that tune.
Oh, thanks, man. Video of that. I'm using my iPhone, which is pretty cool, and I snuck in some old footage of an old public domain robot movie. And it did pretty, it kind of went, at least for my meager little terms, it went viral for a second on Facebook. Got like 300,000 views or something. And
yeah, cool.
It was really cool to have that people check out that song Salamander. I teach it on the book. There's a lot of stuff in there like, but the kind of stuff where you're bouncing the harmonics around. And
cool.
I love doing that kind of stuff.
So good. Those high notes we're hearing, so they're not, it's not as if you're tapping notes on the fretboard. They're just the overtones and the harmonics you're pulling out.
Yeah, like if you fret at the 9th fret of the 2nd string and you bounce you got to mute all the other strings. So you got to have a good command of muting the other 5 strings with your fretting hand. So your fretting hand is muting 5 of the strings, but your pinky is holding the 9th fret of the 2nd string, and then with your slapping hand, you bounce your thumb off that string exactly 12 frets higher, and you get the harmonic.
Yeah, of course.
You can bend. Once you get it down, you can use it for soloing and stuff. I don't know. So, and then it's like you're just getting that octave harmonic basically.
Yeah,
just
that's
a way
cool.
to get octave harmonics.
It's great.
Or Eddie Van Halen would do that tapping. He would do that like on Mean Street.
Yeah.
Like, I need more distortion. I need more power, Kirk.
That's cool. The distortion's great though, because it does bring out a lot of those overtones and upper harmonics, the partials and things.
Exactly. It's
Very
like a
cool.
compressor. It compresses it.
Nice.
Brings it out.
You also had you've also done a version of Funky Town using this kind of style. That sounds awesome.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. Eric Shamlin directed the video, and he did such a good job.
Yeah.
He was such a professional. He's like, I just need you from 12 noon to 3 o'clock. And we're like, really? So I just show up, and I play, and we bring all the instruments. We make it look like I'm playing all 4 instruments, like both guitars.
Yes.
And the bass and drums. Originally, I was going to have Joel Smith, who played both bass and drums in there, but he got busy with a gig at the last minute and couldn't make the shoot. So we're like, hey, let's just have me play all 4 instruments.
Nice.
So the way that he cloned me and put me all 4 of me in the picture at the same time, it looks like, I don't know how they do that. I know it takes a while.
Yeah, that was cool. I like that part.
And then he had the girl, Allison Hahn, come through. She was an actor, and he hired her like off of Craigslist, put an ad looking for an actor or a model, and she came through.
Yeah.
And she did a great job. And then he cloned her and made like 16 of her dancing. So it's like 4 of me and 16 of her. And but it all started with a humorous little joke of a lick, really, where I realized that you could tap Funky Town. Here, how's it go? while also doing the bass line. Wait, what key am I in? But I did it actually down in drop D. But again, I'm on a Strat. You know how long it takes to drop a D on a floating tremolo?
Sure.
That takes all afternoon. So I'll do it in E, and then I would be like, and I wouldn't use that tone. It'd be more like.
I spoke to Gretchen Menn a few months ago, your friend Gretchen, who's such a great player. Now, she told me when she was making her solo album, Hail Souls, you two were sort of helping each other out and encouraging each other to finish their solo albums. Now, she's got a solo album, but where is yours?
She's got two. I just talked to her last night for a couple hours all about her brand new record.
Her new one, yeah.
Oh, Abandon All Hope. Yes, it's not lost on me that she's put out two since the time we both... Okay, Gretchen, I see what's happening here. But yeah, it's true. I helped her a lot with the first one. She was nice enough to give me like a co-producer credit on that one.
Fantastic.
But yeah, it was cool. One of the first, I think it's the first song, Scrap Metal.
Yeah. She
does these awesome slapped harmonics.
Yeah, I asked her about that, and she goes, "Yeah, that's Jude." Well, you showed her the idea.
That's Gretchen, because she kind of took what I was doing and she just was trying it. And something about her hand and her fingers, she's able to just bounce it off the string and get like rad harmonics. I can't even do it. I think my thumb is just too fat or something. So she just barely grazes the string and gets those cool harmonics. But you got to check out her new record, Abandon All Hope. Wow, it's a really amazing thing. Mike Melenda, editor from Guitar Player Magazine, also contributed the libretto. Like it's a piece. It's deep, wide. It's like most guitar albums are like a little laptop screen, and then that album is like a widescreen cinescope at the big ass movie theater with Dolby Surround. It's like such a big thing that she did with that, and I'm really excited about it. Yeah,
that sounds amazing. I've heard a little bit of one of the tunes, and I think it's just been released now. So yeah, Gretchen and I have tentatively talked about getting her back on my show to talk about that record a bit more. So that's really, really exciting. But Jude, we'd love to hear more of this stuff from you, man. There's another track you've got lying around, Try Trip or something that's actually with Gretchen.
Yeah, Try Trip. She plays the harmonics at the beginning.
that's 3 songs already, Jude. That's a third of a record, surely.
I already forgot about the full band one. Yeah, one of my few odd meter moments.
You're in 7.
Oh yeah, I remember now. And there's this great guitar player named Lauren Lieber, and if you're a real Steve Vai nerd, you know that the guy that he really respected was this guy named Lauren Lieber, who he went to Berklee College of Music in Boston with. And I used to hang out with Lauren because Lauren's a genius, and he would do this thing where he'd like play like a B flat minor. Well, I don't know if he did this one, but the type of technique is like if you play a B flat major 7 at the 5th position on the top 4 strings.
Oh, yeah.
And then you hold down the A at the 12th fret of the A string with your picking hand's index finger, and then kind of strum it with your pinky. You get this close voicing that's impossible to play unless you're an octopus or something. It's impossible to play that, but with this way you can play it.
Yeah, cool.
I don't want too much distortion for that chord. So I just was really fascinated with that sound, so I kind of wrote a little song around that thing, but I was inspired by Lauren Lieber, who's an amazing Bay Area guitar player.
Yeah, cool. And actually the video with Gretchen, that shows that technique really clearly as well. That's great.
Oh, yeah, no, the videos.
Cool.
We're going to do a video of the electric version, too, if we ever coordinate it.
Do it.
Most of life is coordination. You just got to coordinate stuff.
Very true. How about, can we talk about your rig for a while? You're talking about a Strat today. What Strat's that you're playing?
I'm playing my friend Amy Bruckmeyer's Jeff Beck Stratocaster. That's my main guitar.
Okay, cool.
And actually, you just reminded me of something. I can't believe this. I swapped out the neck on it and put the very neck that's in that video. And I finally took it off that guitar. I found out it's like a Warmoth replacement neck, and it's like the best neck I own. And it's just perfect radius, perfect frets, and it fit the guitar perfectly. The guitar tech was like, I don't know if that's going to work, but I had him do it just right. He's like, oh, you're going to be surprised. It worked out perfectly. It's like an unfinished bird's eye maple neck. So that's my main guitar. I mostly use backline amps on the road.
Okay.
I've really taken the Marshalls, and we've had a revelation. Even in like a theater and stuff, like it can be really loud if you're cranking Fender Twins straight at the front of the audience and a Marshall.
Yeah.
So we'll aim our Fender Twins and our Marshall cabinets pointed up at the ceiling.
Ah, okay. Yep.
And this is something I learned from my friend Ken Harrell. Great guitar player in San Jose, California. I saw him doing that. It's so cool. You can crank it up loud. Nobody's getting beamed, and it's not like melting anybody's face. If you want it to get louder, you just back up and get closer to it.
Perfect. That's great.
It's like a light going up in the sky of sonic bliss.
Awesome.
I always like the way. Don't you like? I don't know. I very rarely like the sound of a guitar amp right in my face.
Oh,
that has to
totally.
be an amazing.
Yeah.
It has to be the most amazing tone. Like for me, a big part of the sound is the sound of the guitar bouncing off the walls.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can't tell you how many. It took me a long time to realize this. Like I'd see a band playing in the square. I'd be driving around looking for a parking place, and it sounds so epic. I'd hear the guitar bouncing through the downtown city center. Some band rocking out in the park, and I'd hear the solo, whatever it was.
Yeah, for sure.
I just love pointing the speakers up and getting out of the way, and then like I adjust the sound of it by my ears, like by where I stand on stage. Yeah, some people turn around backwards, but then you can't go up to it and get feedback off of it and stuff. So I pointed at nobody. I pointed at up at the lighting trusses.
Yeah, cool.
That's been kind of fun. I've been doing that.
Nice. And do you have I know you take a little pedal board around. What's on that?
Well, I take right now I'm using just a pedal train board, and I can't figure out why. I mean, I still have this problem with Velcro. Pedals slip around; they get heat. Like, I don't know how do you keep. I don't know how people do it, but I'm still having pedals sliding off their Velcro, and that That's somebody who can fix that problem where we don't have to deal with Velcro. Then you deserve a Nobel Pedal Prize, I would say.
I mean, I cable tie, but it's a little bit permanent, that's all.
I like cable ties too, but it works better with certain pedals than others. But yeah, cable ties. I really like the Holy board that guy's making. He's such a cool dude, and I'm forgetting his name at the moment, but he makes the Holy board, which is really cool. It's a little heavy for me. I wish it was like really lightweight material, but with all those holes for the cable ties. It's really a genius idea. So that's a really cool board. Got one of those, but I don't know. I got the Boss DD500. It's a good all-in-one travel delay. I don't have anything. I don't have anything super fancy. I want to get like some Strymon stuff at some point, but I like the Dude distortion pedal is pretty cool. The Dude.
Oh yeah.
I got some full tone stuff. What's that, Octafuzz?
Yeah, nice.
That sounds really good with the volume halfway down. I really love the Boss Terra Echo. That is a very underrated pedal. If you like psychedelic sounds, check out the Terra Echo. It's really cool. I don't know if you've ever seen my Embryonic Journey, but I do this old airplane acoustic piece. I do it on electric guitar.
You're on electric for that? Yeah, I've seen that. That's cool.
And I often hold down the beginning where I hold down the pedal and you just get the most shimmering fairy dust sound. I think that's a technical term there for you. Shimmering fairy dust.
Google that, kids.
Yeah, it just holds the sound, and then if you let it go, it's just like, it's a good little, it sounds like some crazy boutique echo that's a Boss pedal. Now it's available in the DD500.
Great.
So I have multiple pedals in one. I don't have to bring the Terra Echo because it's already in the DD500, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, nice.
And that's a pretty smart pedal. There's so much cool stuff all the time. How to keep up with it. I like that little EP compressor too. I use that one.
Okay. Yep.
The mini pedals.
Yep.
Sounds really good. I also like my Keeley compressor, but the exotic. Did I say TC? It's an exotic compressor.
Oh, okay. But is that
I forgot the name of it.
Yeah.
It's so small. To me, it sounds really good too. So I'll either bring out the Keeley or that. Distortion pedals, it all depends on the amp. That's what they don't tell you when you're a kid.
Yes.
It depends. It's going to sound so different through different tubes or different preamps, or a preamp that has a lot of headroom, or a preamp that compresses really easily.
Yeah.
I love that Dude preamp. I mean, that Dude distortion pedal through certain amps, but through the Marshall, it all depends. Sometimes just a tube screamer. Got a Keeley modded tube screamer.
Okay.
Through the Marshall, night by night basis. I often like to use the amp tone itself for distortion if possible. Especially my favorite tone that I had recently on a Embryonic Journey, and it's actually on the line. I don't know if I put it up or someone put it up. I think they put it up. I might have put up my own version of it. Embryonic Journey, Jude Gold, Sweden. I'm not trying to promote myself, but it's the only time I played it in Sweden. And the interesting thing is there was an Italian baggage strike, and they held on to our suitcases and pedal boards for like 3 days.
Wow.
I had no pedal. I had one guitar.
Yeah.
My other guitar and my everything was gone. And the sound guy there, I told him, hey man, when I play Embryonic Journey, you could put a little, you could turn up the soul and Talon knobs, if you know what I mean. So a lot of engineers know that to mean a little reverb and a little delay.
That's
the soul
right.
And the talent. And he did the best job. I'm just going guitar straight into the amp. Guitar cable into a Marshall JCM 2000.
Okay, yeah.
And so you're getting that kind of power amp sound. And 10 seconds in, you hear him turn on the effects.
Ah, nice.
And it's the most beautiful stereo. I think that's the best it ever sounded. about just guitar? That's where I'm headed. That's where everyone should be headed. Just guitar straight into the amp, and then wet, dry, wet kind of thing. Get your amps, get your effects out of somewhere else. I'm really, my friend Jamie Kime, incredible guitarist. He used to play with Zappa, plays with the Baked Potato every Monday night. Jamie Kime he's using the Fryette Power Station, I think. This is a really clever device.
Mm-hmm.
So you can run your amp and then also run a signal out and use the power station to send the effects out into another speaker cabinet or two speaker cabinets to get the effects separate.
Oh, okay, cool.
Or if you have a really killer low wattage amp that you just love, run it into the Fryette and then add the effects in the Fryette power station. Know what I'm saying?
Nice.
So you take like a little 10-watt amp and then add the 50 watts, I think it is.
Yep. Cool.
And stereo effects. I'm a big proponent of stereo, if possible. It doesn't make sense on a lot of stages, but we hear in stereo.
Sure.
And if you can get a cool stereo tone, one of the best tones I ever saw on a big arena stage was Coldplay. And I interviewed the guy afterwards, Johnny Buckland, great guitarist for Coldplay.
Yeah, they just played here last night, actually, in Sydney.
Yeah, underrated band. For some reason, people like to hate on Coldplay a little bit. I think they're just wonderful. I totally recommend it. If you can go see them, it's hypnotic. Their songs.
Absolutely.
And I asked him, how do you get the most pristine effects? And he's like, oh, well, my front of house engineer, and I don't forget the guy's name, he's kind of controlling the main effects, the reverb and delay on every song.
Oh, okay.
So he's thinking like a producer, and he knows what Johnny Buckland's guitar is supposed to sound like.
Cool.
Each song, and he's getting that beautiful, perfect amount, not too wet, not too dry.
Yeah.
And it was really mind-blowing to hear that sound. So, but most of the time, for most of us who aren't in a superstar band, we don't have those kind of resources, so it's safer if we just play in mono and control the effects ourselves.
Yeah.
Very
cool. Very cool. Yeah, I love his tones, man. They're beautiful on all those Coldplay records.
Yeah.
What's coming up for you? You're like constantly doing stuff. What's 2017 look like?
Well, just focusing on the podcast and Jefferson Starship shows.
Yeah.
Got two shows in LA during NAMM week. They're kind of far from the convention center, but if anyone's in town for NAMM, we're playing at Pasadena on the Friday of NAMM, which is January 20th, I think, and then the Saturday up in Agora Hills, 21st. That's a little bit of a mission from the Anaheim Convention Center, but I'll probably be at NAMM on the Thursday and maybe the Sunday, maybe a little bit on those other 2 days.
Yeah, cool.
And doing that, and we got other shows, East Coast in earlier January.
Yep.
Got that, that special coming up December 23rd. You can always keep up with me on Twitter or something for the latest. I like Twitter. Twitter's underrated. At Jude_Gold. There's just so much craziness happening on Twitter. People are posting live. But I'm on Facebook and all that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, we see on Instagram and all that kabaz. Very cool. And your website's great. Your website, unlike a lot of websites, you seem like that's pretty up to date most of the time and has some cool stuff on there.
That's funny you should say that. I just updated it recently.
Okay, nice.
That was good timing. Dodged that one.
Nice. I just had an interview. I won't mention names, but I was trying to do the maths based on something on their website, which was like 10 years old. So I was like a decade out when I asked the question. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, I wish I could. Yeah, it's hard to stay on top of everything. I mean, people are very lucky if they're a successful artist where they can hire someone to update all that stuff.
Yeah, sure. And it is crazy time consuming when you've got better things to do, like play guitars and play shows. Is there anything else we should know about that you're working on, Jude?
Oh, I can't remember. I'll remember later, but no.
No, that's cool. I think we've covered heaps of stuff, and really it's only touching the surface of your amazing career. And man, yeah, so thank you so much for your time. Definitely I would encourage people to definitely get on your website, follow you on the different social media, and chase up some of this stuff.
Thank you so much for having me, Matt. It's just incredible. I really appreciate it. And nice words. I interview a lot of people who have truly amazing careers, but it's nice of you to describe mine as such.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Do you know what? The trouble for me was thinking, what am I going to talk about? Not because there was nothing to talk about, because there was so much. So great. Good on you. Keep it going. And I'd love to hear some more solo stuff if I can place one order. But
I appreciate the vote of confidence. Thanks. Coming up soon. I'm on it.
Cool, man. All right. Well, thanks, Jude. We'll keep watching out for your great stuff, and we'll keep listening into No Guitar is Safe. And wish you all the best for the holiday season and the new year.
Thanks, you too.
Thanks, man.
Happy holidays. Keep in touch. Let's jam next time you're over here. I want to come there too.
All right, there you go. There's my interview with Jude Gold.